Hate is a frequency, it's not a force. Love is a force and a frequency. It's pure light from the point of light within the mind of God. It's the original energy field. And hate is something that is fear. I'm going to do this and I'm going to appear like this because I want people to think this of me because I have such a low opinion of myself. I'm hoping y'all are aware that this is pretty much what you're looking at.
Well, I don't think we are always aware that we're um, acting from fear.
Well, we're not. When I act from fear, I'm not aware of it. It's an old program. We're all very programmed children. We're adult children. And this is why I'm a proponent of 12 steps, which is my history, the recovery groups. I like doing the 10th step every day, which is review. Okay, look at what you've done. And I think in Catholicism, Jesuit, I don't know if Roman Catholics do it, but we have a program called the spiritual exercises where you learn to do that. The priests every night before they go to sleep, they review their day. Now, I don't do it that much because I don't want to remember all that crap, but I do try daily to be aware of my feelings and my interactions. And I think that's doable for anybody.
It really is. And it brings us back to the awareness and noticing. And that helps see patterns and maybe be able to shift things slightly to the calm or to the more authentic.
I think so. And as far as family telling you you have to do this, have to do that, well, that's just family. Sometimes karma is it's their job to make you just unbelievably miserable. It might be your job to do that, to get certain things to happen, or maybe they're wrong doing that. This is where your personal boundary, you can always ask people, why are you saying that? I was taught many years ago rules of engagement. If I am being told something or engaged by somebody that I really don't have an ongoing relationship with, I don't have to follow up on that. I'll smile and walk away or just not answer the phone or block their number. But if it's somebody in my inner circle that I have an ongoing relationship with, I want to relate to what they're saying. Why are you saying that? When you said this, it made me feel a certain way. Why did you say that? Now, I think families do that and for different reasons and at different times. And certainly, you want to teach your kids to communicate. Males and females will communicate differently. Here I go political, but there are 600 differences in males and females. It's like that. If you ask a 6-year-old, is that a boy or a girl? They'll tell you. And that's not really political or religious. It's a fact. If you look at a tree and say it's a sailboat, that's nuts. So if you have boys, which you have, or I have some friends, all they have is girls, you will learn that they communicate differently. And you have to teach them differently and understand those differences. But in families, we consider ourselves just one energy field. And we kind of are. So we expect things from others and families that we wouldn't expect from a stranger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's very true. We don't always see our family as individuals or doing what's better for them. Instead, we're kind of caught up in the energy of the overall need or what we're expecting to happen.
We are, because if you're in somebody's energy field all the time, living in the same house, that's a crossover. It's a boundary crossover. And you can become what's called fuse bonded to where you can't separate yourself from that person. Now, as children, you want that non-separation. You want that protectiveness for your child, but about the age when hormones kick in, oh boy, it's on. And that's where you're going to develop your own boundaries and start to develop your own rebelliousness. So there are definite phases and times, and we need to, oh, I hate to say we need to do anything, but what we need is more compassion. When I don't do that, I get very frustrated with myself.
Yeah, we really do need more compassion, and it's a hard one to remember with everything else that's expected or ongoing obligations of getting through the day. If we started with compassion with people, we'd be a lot better off, I think.
Well, of course, but if you're like me, I'm not going to get it all right. In fact, if I get half of it right and I'm not aware of the other, maybe I'm doing stuff that's really screwy and it's going to affect me adversely. Well, that's called lessons, right? It's called speed bumps. And that's what we learn, but we've got to find a way to calm ourselves, to control the emotional drama and trauma that we are told is real and it's not.
That's very true. And I often wonder what hope we have. I struggle to have compassion for my own kids sometimes when they're driving me crazy, and I love them more than anything in the world. So, how can we have hope that we're going to do better for each other and for strangers or people who totally are opposite from us?
Yeah, with the kids, that's what duct tape and chairs are for.
It is. That's what kicking them outside to go play in the forest is for.
Yeah, you're going to get frustrated, and you know as well as I do that sometimes we do stuff just to piss people off. And that
Yes.
the kids
Kids are
do
great at
that.
that.
Oh, they are. I was awful with it. Oh my God, I was such an instigator. But I was this wild and free little thing living in the woods. I really didn't have friends. Kids hated me. Teachers thought I was a weirdo. And I was from the 1950s in Alabama. So what? You learn and grow. Who cares? And we can't live our past. We've got to find ways of becoming more aware. And if we can't be compassionate at the moment, so what? I just can't do this right now. I think we get better at that. Society wise, I think we've gotten better setting at laws. You're not allowed to go beat people up and get away with it. You're not allowed to drink a gallon of whiskey and drive around. There's things you're not allowed to do that we've set boundaries for. And those boundaries are still stretched, usually because you've drunk a gallon of whiskey. Hold my beer, watch this. So my husband says all emergency room visits start with hold my beer, watch this. But I
That's highly likely for sure.
it's true, and I think we that trying thing is important. What happens when you're really trying and you just can't get it? Oh my God, is there anything more frustrating? I lose hope. I'm like, I have tried this, or this. The answer is usually back away from it. Because what you are so called trying to do is using old tools with a new situation. Sometimes you need to tweak the tool, but usually we are pushing too hard. And that pushing feeling is the drama I got into that I spoke of a couple days ago, where I'm frustrated. Well, Zoli, what do you think needs to be happening? I can't think of anything, but it's the dead of winter. There's very little energy available because nature's going, sit, sleep, be calm.
Well, it's hard to get out of the energy of rushing all the time and into the energy of calm.
We rush because we're panicked, we're afraid. You know that, and sometimes rushing is important. But to have in a state of mind, I've accomplished a lot with that this past year because my adrenal glands were getting so stressed. My mom showed up. Y'all know that she's on the other side. She's about an astral ray 4. She's hysterically funny. She's like, I'm trying to show you and fix the mistake I made with you. She said, and I knew this, I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. And they medicated me for it, which didn't help. Back then, you gave women Valium for anything. She said, I rushed you and I taught you panic, and it's not who you are. Now you have to unlearn that. So the first thing I did was listen to her. I'm like, oh my God, I never saw that. She said, I would lay down and take a nap on the couch as you saw me in the afternoon, and I would catastrophize in my mind. What if this happened? What if that happened? I taught you that. And I'm asking y'all to look at habits you have in yourself and think, could this be the same with me? My mom, by her behavior, taught me to panic. She thought it was protecting me, but it wasn't. So now, on the other side, she's like, I know what I did. I'm trying to help you. So I've made a lot of progress with that because I find now that I know the difference, I will shut down if I start to get in that rush around state.